We are now recording. Folks, I'm going to throw on the camera just a second, just in case you hadn't seen my ugly mug. This is me. If we meet on Tuesdays, I'll be in orange because it's Tangerine Tuesday, and we all wear orange on Tuesdays. If Tuesday's a good day, it works good for me. I may try to keep the same time, 5 to 6, depending on how many people show up, and see if we can't get a pretty good group meeting. I had a real good group in my first class. It's good to see. Good to see 4 of you here now. What I want to do today, honestly, is just go through some basics of how the class works. Most of you have been in the class before in our intro class, so you kind of know how we run our system here at Stanley Community College. I've got to kind of move some stuff around here because I got stuff open from another class, but I'm going to move this over so you do that. And I'm also going to pull out chat, and I'm going to then turn off the video because there's no need for you to see my ugly face during this, and it will save some video or some bandwidth. But here's what we've got. You've been in here before, so you know the first place you go is Moodle, and all of you have done this. You've actually done my first assignment, and that would be in our Essentials class. So you completed this first assignment, and honestly, Moodle is just, I need you to come through it every once in a while just to, quote, prove attendance. I'm going to be keeping up with what you do in NetAcad, not in Moodle. But our main system for the campus, our LMS, is Moodle. So we have you go through here. If you wish to get to NetAcad from here, you can click here. And that will allow you to go to NetAcad. You also can come here to go to our NetLab system if you don't want to type in netlabs.stanley.edu. So, but pretty much you've all done what you need to do in Moodle other than try to log in once a week to Moodle just to prove, quote again, attendance. Majority of our work is going to be over here. We're going to be in the area you'll need to click on your Learn tab and find the RSE Essentials, RSE Essentials SP17. And this will take you into our version 6 of the Routing and Switching Essentials class. Ignore this because this is stuff that's in another class. But this modules item here is where you will find all the items that you're going to need to do for our course. I've only built out at this point the packet tracers. Now, don't freak out. You see all these packet tracers, and especially if you happen to go over to assignments and you look at the list of packet tracers and say, oh, Lord, I'll never get this done. I'm quitting this class. Don't do that, okay? Yes, there's a ton of assignments. I put all the assignments in here for packet tracers because I'm building this class for a student class. I want you to see what's in it. I want you to see what's available. If you only do 80% of the packet tracers and 80% of the labs, that's fine. I'm not going to have a heart attack. You know, I just want you to know it's available. Also, what I'm going to do when this is all said and done, once we run through this course once and I get it built, I'm going to save the shell and then let you copy that shell for your courses. So I'll put them out on a Google Drive, and you will be able to download this, so you won't have to go back and recreate all these assignments that I've already created. You'll be able to literally just use what I've got, decide whether or not you want to use it in your course or not, okay? So, any questions on that? Now, pretty simple. When we go to modules, we've got some things you need to do here. One, you need to read chapter 1. So I click launch chapter 1, you'll know that goes in and you'll read the chapter. So I'm going to go in the new tab and you can start reading the chapter. I do not have lectures on this particular item now. I will tell you, if you go to YouTube and if you go to my channel, which is KCauldle52, all right, you will see there's some playlists in here that you can look at. One of them is Exploration 1 lectures, okay, and Routing, Switching, Connecting, and Scaling, and there's Networking Essentials. So you've got some in here you can look at. None of them go with Routing, Switching Essentials because, honestly, I was waiting until they got this new version out so that I could do it.
Show you how to run inside of Moodle.
Kill that. Right. But there will be lectures for you. I'm working on those for this class, and we will have them out there for you. And they'll be right up underneath this, under this. Launch the chapter, and then there'll be a lecture. And you'll be able to use those in your classes if you want to do so. Then you'll be doing your packet tracers, and just like before, you can click here to take you to the PKA. You can download the packet tracer, and then you can complete the packet tracer. Please do make sure you're using version 7 of packet tracer. If you happen to, for some reason, have version 6, Okay, yeah, I can send a link later, Kurt. No problem. I can send directly, and I'll have the links to the actual lectures I do. I'll have those out there too. But like normal, if you would, when you I clicked on the router. As you sit here and complete the lab, okay, and you do a check results, and this one says you either completed it or you didn't, okay. If it has a percentage, please save it with your name, file save as, your name in the PKA file, and upload it. But also take your snipping tool for me and just give me a snip of the percentage if it's got a percentage so I can see that you did complete the packet tracer completely and you've got that available, okay? It just makes it easier for me so that when you upload these items, you're uploading your packet tracer completed and a quick JPEG that shows me your score. It just keeps me from having to open every single packet tracer. Trust me, when you're grading these classes for yourself, you'll appreciate that. And that's what I put in here. So it says, complete packet tracer and upload it. Please include a screenshot showing your completion grade along with your PKA file. So, any questions on the packet tracers? None? Okay. You've all done this before. So the next thing will be labs. Now, right now I don't have the labs for Chapter 1 in. Because as we look at Chapter 1, and we look at our labs right here, if I go to Course Index, you'll see that our lab index shows mapping the internet, basic router configs with iOS GUI. So 1146. If we go over here to NetLabs, okay, and I go to schedule my student account, and by the way, you're in a NetLabs class called ITC RSE, Routing Switching Essentials SP17. So I click my student account, and I go to do a lab. You'll notice there's no 11 whatever, okay? So this is the lab, which says lab 1146, configure basic routing settings with command line A1146. Unfortunately, this 1146 is actually our NetLabs lab. Let's see, configure basic switch, configure basic router settings with CLI. Unfortunately, it's lab 4146. So I might have to do a mapping for you and get this out to you. So please be aware I'm getting that mapping out. But you can go see this is configure basic routing with iOS CLL, and that's exactly what configure basic router settings for iOS CLI. Now, what's going to happen is, again, on the 24th, they're going to release the version 6 labs, and all the names and everything will match. So that's why I have not put anything in yet in the class, because I'm trying to wait until we can get them done. But I'm going to do your mappings for the first two courses, or first two chapters. Okay, that's really the only one lab there. And then you've got static labs here, configuring IPv4 static routes. You'll notice here we've got those. So you look at static routes, configuring IPv4 static and default, IPv6 static and default. That's these labs right here. So 2225 is going to be lab, let's see, 6225. So they're there. We just got to get them mapped up. So I apologize, I don't already have that done. If you want to start working ahead, feel free to look at the lab and say, oh, that's configuring IPv4 static routes. Look in the NetLabs class, find that lab, and do it. You can work ahead and do that if you are feeling froggy and want to do it. If not, just wait and I'll get that document to you in the next day or two. Probably will actually get it to you tomorrow for chapters 1 and chapters 2. All right. Any questions on that? And I apologize, folks, if they don't map up. But we had two choices. One, I could have taught you using the 5.1 course, or I could have done the 6 and go ahead and get you in what you really need to be using. And I decided to make the choice to go with 6. Trust me, it would have been a lot less work for me to do 5. But I decided to do 6 so we could build it out and have it ready for you to use and for your students to use next time you teach this course. All right. Right now, you can go ahead and start reading Chapter 1, and you can go ahead and do the packet tracers for Chapter 1. The one lab, again, I will get that mapped out for you tomorrow, so it's not a big deal. It's basic router config, and then there'll be a link to a Word document for this, and then there'll be a link to upload that Word document for the lab. By the way, I'll show you something that if you haven't seen before. When you're teaching a course, If you go to the instructor home and you ever need resources, the instructor resources are right here. And so I can actually then go and download, and this is exactly where I download documents for the class. You can also download all the packet tracers and an instructor lab manual. You won't have this right now because you're not an instructor level account. Once you do have passed this class, or if you go back and create an introduction class, since you've done that, you will have the resources here for the lab. So here's our student lab source files. And so when I click there, it opens this up, which gives me all your labs that you've got to do. So here, 1146, I'll put that into the course, and then you'll be able to do that particular lab for us. Okay. Any questions about that? I know it's a little bit confusing, and I apologize for the fact that it doesn't match up one-to-one. It will. It's just going to be, a week or two before it matches up completely. Any questions on that? No questions? Everybody got that? Any questions on the class format? None on that either. Okay. So you understand going into modules, complete the packet tracers, upload them with your name and a screenshot, and then do the same with the labs. There'll be Word documents there. You'll open the Word documents, complete the lab in NetLabs, and then upload the completed Word document. Please do make sure you change the text of the Word document where you put in your answers. Change it to blue so I can see the items you've actually put into the course. All right, you'll notice that we have 10 chapters in this particular course. Chapter 10 is new. This device discovery, maintenance, and management. Got some things that we haven't had before. Our chapter test, I get a lot of questions about the chapter exams. You'll notice if you've looked, they should already be active. I've turned on all the chapter exams for the next 90 days. I give you 10 attempts on them. And so you have the ability to take the exams anytime you want. I've also turned on the pre-test, so I'd like you to take that this week if you don't mind. I will be putting assignment due dates for all the packet tracers and for the labs and for the exams. Please be aware these exam dates are suggestions. If you don't hit them exactly, if you miss a day or two or you miss a week, I'm not going to have a heart attack, okay? This course, I know you're teaching other courses. I know you're busy. So I give a lot of leniency to my instructor training courses. Be aware the only real requirement that I will have is that by the time the class ends, you need to be close to finishing. And really, I can even extend it a little bit past the class end date. But before you can get into scaling over the summer, you'll need to have completed essentials. The other thing I'll tell you is when you take the final exam for this course, you need to score higher than an 80 on the final exam so that you'll get a voucher for your CCNA voucher. And your students need to do the same. So, are there questions about the way this course is going to work? My goal is to have weekly WebEx meetings so that we can get together and talk about the course content, go over the lecture, discuss the course concepts and those items. Anybody read chapter 1 already? I'll pull out my participants so I can see your hands. Anybody read chapter 1 already?
I have.
Okay.
Frank,
okay.
And I've done all the packet tracers, but I'm not sure it was in version 7 of PT.
Well, that's fine. As long as they work, you can just upload them. If you've completed them, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. They may have worked in 6, but you probably, if you've downloaded packet tracer in the last probably 3 or 4 months, you got 7 anyway.
Okay.
Anybody else? And by the way, you can also tell by looking, just go help about. And it should tell you what PT you're running. This is my version 7.00036.306.
Yeah, this is Kurt. I've gone through it already.
Okay. All right, well, good. Well, now, if y'all want to go ahead, and like I said, the lab for this chapter is lab 1146, which is in our scheduler, lab 4146. So if you want to go ahead and do the lab, I'll have it up tomorrow, but if you want to do something tonight, you can do that. Also, if you want to go ahead and read chapter 2, go ahead and read chapter 2, and I will get the I'll get the packet tracers in for chapter 2. The assignments are built. In other words, I've got them over here. So the uploads are in place. If you want to go ahead and upload them, I just don't have the links to the packet tracers. Question for you. In fact, this is a good place to ask it. I'm actually considering not putting these links in like this and just putting the upload, because what I'm finding is occasionally they'll move things on Amazon Web Services and these links no longer work. How big of a deal would it be, do you think, if I did not have these links and you actually had to go into the chapter itself and look at and find your own packet tracers? Would that be a big problem, or what do you think?
I've actually downloaded all of them already, so and I just went through the chapters.
Okay. So you basically just went to the course index, packet tracers, and downloaded every one of them.
Pretty much. When I took the networking essentials class, it was handy to have them all there. But
well, I'm going to build it out, Keith, and I think it is handy, especially for students in intro. I think maybe once I get to scaling, I can get away from it. The other option I thought about, and this is something that I could definitely do. If you had noticed in when I go back to class, I could actually. I'm just trying to find a way that those links don't get broken and then I end up having to redo the entire course again. I'm thinking about maybe downloading the entire source files and giving those to the students. So see, here's all the packet tracer student files. So I could actually, this is one big zip. Student packet tracer source files. So I could actually maybe put that in the course and have students download it. So I'll play with some ideas, but I was really interested in what your ideas were as instructors and how your students looked at it, because when the links break, they freak out and they don't know how really to go get the labs and that or the packet tracers.
I think if you do it and leave them in the readings themselves, I can just say when I was doing it as an instructor, it was handy to have them all there. But I think if you leave them inside the readings, it actually may help the student be able to go back and reference that stuff. They may be more apt to look at the material in the chapter before they do it. Gotcha.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, like I said, I'm playing with some ideas to try to, since I'm rebuilding these courses basically from the ground up, just trying to figure out what would be the best way to do it. Like I said, these zip files I could put into the class, but they're they're not that big. They're only 3 megs. Like I said, I'll play with it and see. I hadn't made my mind up.
Some things that I've been doing with, I've got, I'm using not Moodle, but Schoology is the LMS system.
Okay.
And I usually just, if I assign it out to my students, I usually attach the source file there with that in my LMS system, but then it's also still available in the, through Metacad too. So they have a couple places where you can download.
Right. One of the things I like about the link, if the link doesn't break, the beauty of the link is that I can actually, if they change the packet tracer, if they update it or do something to it, and they don't change the link, then I would get the most recent one, even though it wasn't on the downloaded files. I've had a situation where the Word documents that I put in have been updated, and then they update the PDFs in the curriculum, but not the Word documents. So I don't know. I'm playing with it. I was trying to come up with some ideas. I do like the ability for students just to click on it and go straight to the packet tracer, and then they can scroll down and grab it. That works good too. But I may play with some ideas, especially once we get to routing, switching, version 6 of scaling and connecting, because those classes are going to change dramatically. These two really didn't change that much other than naming, and they moved a bunch of stuff around, but it's still it was enough to have to redo the entire course. So again, I apologize, it's not completely finished, but this stuff just got released. Hadn't been out long, so. All right, any other questions? So again, packet tracers, labs, exams, all those are to be completed. Again, I'm not going to freak out if you don't get every single one of them done, but they're there so you can see what the student can do and what's available. I would like to do as many as you can, about 80% at a minimum to get done. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my desktop, and I'm going to ask if you have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and do this while I'm sitting here, so it's no questions. Okay.
Well, actually, Kelly, how many total labs are there now in this current
That
course?
is a very, very good question.
I know previously there were tons compared to the first course.
Right.
But when I counted up at least the packet tracer ones plus the labs, it's actually fewer than when I took the version 5. Because I took it last summer.
Right.
It actually seems like they're almost the same amount or fewer. I'm just curious.
Here's the student lab source files for the chapter. So, I mean, it's a pretty good list. You know, some of them like mapping the internet.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are just little hands-on things. Which way we should go with instructions. But you know, there's a fair number of labs here, probably in the neighborhood of 35.
So I counted labs and packet tracers around 40 something in this class and a couple of more in the intro class. But again, 2 different versions.
Right.
Previously, it was my understanding there were a whole lot more in this class under version 5.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a few less labs because they took some stuff out.
Yeah.
But they added in some stuff too. It's not, you know, I think it's still a doable class. It's still manageable.
Sure.
But
sure.
there's definitely, you know, the materials are not easy to get through.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious.
Carl said, I did not take intro to networking. Do I need to take that as well? No, but you will need to take it to be able to teach intro to networking. Unless you have had the intro to networking course somewhere, you will not be able to teach intro to networking. We typically don't want you taking this course without having an intro, but if you know Cisco and you're pretty good at it, I've had students hop into this class as their first course. We do have an intro course going on at this time too, but we will have one in the summer too, so if you want to take it in the summer, that'd be fine. The voucher is really based upon what you do at the end of this course. Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off, and then you can ask all your questions off unrecorded.